7 o'clock, so we shall start. Good morning and welcome to our Hairdresser Occupational Program Training Session. I'm Samantha. I am a publisher at Future Managers, and I had the pleasure of collaborating with our esteemed authors, Doreen and Louis Smith, on this material. Doreen and Louis are the co-founders of Hair Smart Academy based in Port Elizabeth. The Academy is nationally and internationally accredited and dedicated to the empowerment of future hairdressing professionals. Doreen, who has an impressive 42 years experience in the hairdressing industry, has kindly prepared a pre-recorded presentation for us. But before we move on to the recording, I'd like to mention that everyone's mics are on mute for the duration of the presentation to avoid any background noise. Also, this webinar is being recorded for anyone who is unable to attend. Our authors will be available after the presentation to attend to any questions that you may have. So, without further ado, let's start the recording. Thank you. Sound. Right, that should be better. There we go. Thank
Hello,
you.
fellow hairdressing colleagues. I am delighted to share an overview of the Occupational Certificate Hairdresser program, highlighting the structure hours for theory, practical training, and salon work experience to clarify the components' requirements. Occupational Certificate Hairdresser. We're working with the SAQA ID 102497. The QCTO curriculum code is 514101100. The NQF level is 4 and our total credits we're going to work with is 540. That means 5,400 hours. The content of the qualification. As you will see, we will be working with different module types and their respective abbreviations. We're talking about knowledge modules, KM, practical modules, PM, and then workplace modules, WM. Knowledge modules, the purpose of our knowledge modules will be all about our theory, understanding, chemical processes, health and safety, hair anatomy, and then of course our assessment methods must be written exams, case studies, and assignments. Our practical modules, the PMs, will be hands-on skill training. That's cutting, styling, coloring, perming. And our assessment methods will be practical demonstrations, simulated tasks, observation checklists, and then our work module, workplace modules will be, this is your authentic experience in a certified salon working under the guidance of a qualified supervisor, where you will participate in practical training, assisting stylists, manage salon operations, and keep a record of your experience in a logbook. Furthermore, you will need to maintain a portfolio of evidence, a POE, detailing all the salon activities which will be verified by your supervisor. So as you can see, workplace module is very important as well when we do the content of this qualification. Knowledge modules. We are talking about KM, KT. KT is a knowledge topic. Topic elements is your main topics of your knowledge content. This is the knowledge content that the learners must be able to master and effectively utilize for practical implementation. So it's very important for them to know their knowledge so that they can do it also while they're doing their practical work. KM01, as you can see, topic KT01, KT02, KT03, KT04, KT05, KT06. That is the introduction studies for hairdressing. As you can see, you have to do 60 hours in KM01. You have to do 100 hours in KM02 under your topic, your knowledge topics. And then also KM03, 60 hours, and KM04, KM05, and KM06, and KM07. As a facilitator, it's crucial to complete all KM01 theoretical topics within a 60-hour time frame before proceeding to KM02, which comprises 100 additional hours, theory hours, followed by your KM03, consisting of your 60 hours, and then your KM04, another 60 hours, and KM05 requiring 200 hours, and then your KM06 necessary to do your 300 hours, and finally your KM07 demanding 300 hours. This is very important to do all the hours because that is the credits they've given to each KM when it comes to the theory. All the theory is 1,080 hours that you need to do. When we come to the practical modules, you will see there is abbreviations again, and we talk about the PS, practical skill. This is what the candidate has to do. The actual skill the candidate needs to master during the training. There you've got your PM01, PM02, PM03, and you can see once again you need to do 60 hours on each skill. So you need to do shampoo and condition hair, perform hair and scalp treatment, including massaging, for 60 hours. And the same with style hair, dreadlocks, braiding, hair extensions, perform hairstyling, upstyle hair. You need to do 250 hours. When it comes to cutting hair, you need to do 250 hours as well. And then when you do color hair, you need to do 250 hours. To chemical hair treatments, another 250 hours for your PM05. And then PM06, 20 hours on your professional customer service. This is very essential to do all the practical and the theory into the hours that's needed. You need your workplace logbook. This is your work experience and the evidence of the activities that must be done, the activities that you will do in a hairdressing salon, accredited hairdressing salon, that you will be able, that the learner needs to work under a supervision, where they're going to sign off each day and then also see what is your attitude and how you perform. Here you can have a look at your workplace 01 and 02 and 03. For 250 hours, you need to observe and assist. The student, the learner, needs to observe and assist an experienced hairdresser and provide services to clients relating shampooing and conditioning and treatments of the hair and the scalp. Now, the supervisor must be present and must help the learner and see to that they're doing shampooing, conditioning and treatments and under close direction and supervision of your experienced hairdresser. Then for 910 hours, again, they must observe and assist. I always say a candidate must be like a sponge, absorb whatever is happening in a salon. They need to absorb, take in, and learn from the qualified hairdresser. More than one, not just one, more than one. And then they must help providing hairstyling services to clients, and of course again under close direction and supervision of your experienced hairdresser. The same with your cutting service in a hair salon. They need to do 1,000 hours. Again, they must observe and assist your experienced hairdresser. Be like a sponge, absorb, and then when they do their own clients or they can bring in models, then they must be under close direction and supervision of an experienced hairdresser. Same for your WMO4 chemical hair treatments. Observe, assist for 1,000 hours, and then for WMO5 again for 80 hours. They need to interact and communicate with clients in a professional manner, maintain product display and conduct product display, meet time management requirements related to appointments, the diaries and time schedules. In the salon environment, the learner needs to learn time management. They cannot shampoo for half an hour. They need to do it in time. If they apply a color, they need to be able to do it in time. They need to communicate with a client. They cannot just not talk at all. And there is it when your supervision or your experienced hairdresser must come in and help your learner to meet that criteria. You will see most important documents to familiarize yourself. You go to your external assessment specification document. You can find it, and you can go and have a look at qcto.org.za. You can download it and print it and have a look at how we go about with this. You will also see that we have a scannable QR code that directs you to a microsite containing supporting documents. The extra resource material consists of lesson plans, your facilitator assessor guides, your PowerPoint, your presentations, and even resources to provide guidance with a lesson plan. That will help you quite a lot, especially when you have to start working on your POE file, and you have to work with your learner, and you work out your lesson plan, telling them exactly when they are doing what, when are they writing the exam, and working with hours so that they know they've got 4 days doing a certain KM, and then they need to be ready and hand in their assignments or their tests or whatever they need to do. The qualification matrix, as you can see, we work with the knowledge modules. Again, it's 108 credits. Our practical is 108 credits, and our work experience modules is 324 credits. But knowledge modules, if we talk about hours, it means 1,080 hours. And our practical is 1,080 hours. And our work experience is 3,240 hours. So when you work out your plan, you need to work out your hours exactly from KM01 right through to KM07 to see that you're doing all the correct hours for your different knowledge modules. And then the same with your practical. You work it out exactly so that you have 1,080 credits. You also work it out so that it can align with each other. When you do shampooing and conditioning and treatment, then you know you have to do your practical for shampooing and conditioning. You have to align everything so that you know exactly, and the learner know exactly what to do. Um, you can have a look at your qualification matrix that's continuing here. What is the applied knowledge required for practical skills? They need to know the product knowledge. They need to know how to shampoo, how to condition, how to do all the different techniques. Client care, health and safety, that's very important. Signs of hair and scalp conditions. Professional conduct, visual signs of hair types. They need to know the texture and the diameter and the density of the hair. They need to know all the different methods of shampooing and conditions and the techniques. Physical signs of hair. They need to know about porosity and elasticity. They need to know product knowledge. What is a liquid shampoo? What is in a cream shampoo? What is foam? What is oils? What is sprays? Client care, health and safety, very, very important. Product knowledge, signs of hair and scalp conditions, dreadlock techniques, client care, professional conduct, hair extension types, hair extension techniques, tools, products and equipment, thermal test, three-dimensional shaping, tools, equipment and product knowledge. They must know when to use a cutting comb. They must know when to use a finger wave comb. They must know when to use a shampoo comb. There's all, and how to hold it. Upstyling techniques. They need to know about movement, direction, balance. They need to know what is symmetrical, what is asymmetrical. They need to know how to design. They can't just do a set and think, okay, they do it right from the front right to the back. They need to do oblong shaping, vertical, diagonal, horizontal, concave, convex. They need to know two-dimensional and three-dimensional shaping. When we get to the practical of shampooing and conditioning, they need to perform a hair and a scalp treatment. They need to be able to do a lovely massage. They need to do dreadlocks, braiding, hair extensions, hairstyling, cutting different graduations, elevations, layered, styled, colored hair. They need to know how to do a temporary, what is a demi-color, what is a permanent color, highlighting, color corrections, and of course, they need evidence. Everything that they are doing, they have to have evidence. They need to take photos. They have to have their workplace logbook. It must be dated. It must be signed off. And it's their, they need to make sure, it's their responsibility to make sure that it's signed off weekly. Declaration of authenticity. They can't put in something, a picture of a haircut, and it's not their own work. That's why when they do a picture or a photograph, they need to be in that photograph to show that it is their work. And it then also a record of self-evaluation. Then finally, applied knowledge for practical skills. They need to know facial shapes, hair growth patterns, selection of using of cutting tools, cutting terminology, theory of cutting, different angles, scissor over comb, clipper over comb techniques, principle of color, specifically the color wheel, how to work with, to know that international color chart and underlying pigment, how to work with hydrogen peroxide, know what is a 10 volume, what is a 20 volume, what is 30 volume, when to use it, how to analyze, product knowledge, aftercare, formulation and mixing procedures. They need to know the different houses like Wella, like Schwarzkopf, like L'Oreal, and each one has a different formulation and mixing procedure. They need to know the difference between them. Application, removal technique, principle of color, specifically the color wheel. Color removal techniques. formulation and mixing procedures, telephone etiquette, scheduling appointments. They need to know when a client phones in for an appointment, how to schedule that appointment, processing payments, placements of orders, merchandising and display, product pricing, the buyer profile, sales, communication with clients, with communication barriers, open questions, closed questions. They need to be able to communicate, and always with a smile. Interpersonal relations. They need to know, provide chemical hair treatments. They need to know the difference between an acid-based chemical and an alkaline-based chemical wave. They need to know how to do a escal, a blowout, hair relaxing services, and then hair straightening services, and then hair keratin services, as we called also the Brazilians or the Botox. Maintain professional customer service. They must plan, manage and schedule time, display and merchandise a range of products, conduct product sales, and communicate with a client in a professional manner. They must know that when they have a client and they come in at the door, they need to be able to, their workstation must be planned, everything must be managed. They must know they've got in an hour's time, they need to do a different client, and they must work according to that. And they must know they must display their shampoos that they're going to use. They must be able to communicate. That is very important, and always in a professional manner. Then we get to the facilitator guide. The facilitator guide is there to provide you with guidelines on your presentation and your student support requirements when it's with all your knowledge and your practical modules in the hairdressing qualification. This guide will enable you to plan, prepare, conduct, and evaluate the facilitation assessment activities that's required. Now, for you as a facilitator, it's really vital to familiarize yourself and your learner with this practical file and workplace logbook, and illustrate how the matrix was planned according to the hours and the alignment to integrate the theory and the practical, as well as the workplace. So you need to sit down with your learner and you have to go through and show them. You cannot just send them off and say, okay, there's your practical file. Now you must do that. You must help them. You must let them familiarize with that and show them how the workplace logbook also work. Where do you put the hours in? Week 1, week 2. You need, and in the weeks, that all have to add up like a 250 hours. So you need to show them how to do it. And if there's maybe a page too short, then they can just photostat and add that. But they need to have it all in to show 250 hours, the hours that was given to each and every module. Now, again, your notional hours. Your structure of your program is 5,400 hours. Now, in theory contact time, that is what's going to happen in your workplace. Not your workplace, your academy, your accredited academy. You need to do 1,080 hours formal learning. So that is classroom learning. Then you've got your workplace, where you have 3,240 hours that you're going to do in the workplace, practicing, learning from a supervisor, a qualified hairdresser, where you're going to do formative assessment activities. That's all is included in your workplace learning program. Then when it comes to the assessment, that is your practical. Practical is also 1,080 hours that's required, and that's where you're going to be working on clients, where the student or the learner is working on clients, and assessment is going to be taken place, and with each assessment that you're doing with them, they're going to take photos, and there's going to be evidence, and you're going to put that all into your POE file that they need to submit at the end of the day. That is all evidence. So, and your total notional days works out to 225 days. Now, again, it depends on each and every academy, how many hours a day they work. Do they have their holidays included or holidays excluded? Some will have their program in 1 year, others will have it in 1.5 years, some will have it in 3 years. So it all depends on how they work their daily hours, their program, how they work it out. Student support. Just remember, this program is outcome-based. Its response, each and every student must be motivated, must be responsible for their own learning. You as a facilitator, you are required to ensure that they have exposure to the structured, highly participative contact sessions, and that students provide input into these sessions. With other words, you're going to make sure that you have practical days where people will come in and that they will participate and they will work in their sessions and they will provide their evidence of what they've done. Activities are student-driven. Ensure you assist students in using the resources in the correct manner and that they are familiar with the requirements of that summative assessment. Due to vocational nature of this program, the facilitator is required to incorporate various training aids during the contact sessions to familiarize students with the resources required in the workplace. It's important to prepare in advance to ensure which resources you will be requiring for these training sessions. So you as a facilitator must make sure that you will keep the program interesting, and at the end the student are responsible for their own learning, but you must keep it interesting and motivate them and let the student be familiarized with all the resources and let them know how each KM, PM and workplace module work, and have an understanding of how this is taking place. Assessment strategy. The formative assessment will take place in contact sessions where they will do during practical and workplace. Summative assessment of students will be based on a series of activities in and out of the workplace. These activities will be documented and compiled in your portfolio of evidence, your POE. So everything will be in there. And then if you need anything extra, go via the OR code. Portfolio requirements. The facilitator must prepare students for assessments requirement during contact sessions. Refer to the practical file for detailed breakdown of the activities for the program. And the facilitator must discuss these activities in detail with the students to make sure they know what is required from them. The specific assessment policy of the institution will guide the facilitator in the delivery of this program. Now, if you go to your QR code again, you will see there is specifically designed forms for you that you can prepare your students with plan preparation, where you can exactly tell them this is the date we're doing theory, this is the date that you're going to do your practical. You're going to have a checklist of what's needed, what you want from them, and they must be totally prepared for that specific day when you are going to do the formative assessment. And they must sign it to say that they do understand and that they know and realize this is the specific date for that exam. Thank you. I hope that you understand everything.
Lorraine, once again, thank you so much for sharing this educational presentation with us. I believe that certain people had experienced some technical difficulties in terms of sound or the camera vision. If you have experienced any difficulties, we have uploaded this presentation to our microsite. Laureen has mentioned the QR code and the microsite. I thought I'd quickly, before we move on to the questions and answers, just take you through how you can access the microsite and what sort of learning material you can access from using a microsite. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I am going to share right. Are we able to view the quick microsite presentation? Yes, we are. Okay. So in order to access the microsite, you can scan the QR code which is provided in the learning material. It's in all the learning material, which includes your facilitator, your knowledge place, your workplace component, as well as your practical component. It will be on page 2, right? So you'll scan the QR code. Let's move to the next, right? And this is a close-up of what the QR code looks like. And this is what the microsite looks like. As you'll see, you are able to access some really handy additional resources that can assist you when teaching. Okay, so the next few slides are just a quick snippet of what you can expect. It's just a visual representation. This is an example of our PowerPoint. The PowerPoints are basically summaries of all the knowledge modules. The student is able to access a little guide to entrepreneurship, which is also quite handy. We also have a guide to navigating the world of work, also for the student, as well as a guide to examination preparation. And then a nice knowledge retention guide for students as well. We've also compiled a really handy concept map for each and every knowledge module, which also breaks down the work. Hi. Do you have a question?
Sorry.
Or... Oh, okay, I'll continue. Okay, this is a visual representation of your second knowledge module, which is the hair and skin. And then for our facilitators, we've compiled also a nice lesson plan for each and every knowledge module. Quick screenshot for knowledge module 1. It breaks it down into the theory, the amount of days, amount of credits, objectives, theory sessions, and days, as I've mentioned. So each lesson plan will conclude with reflections. You are able to print this out and complete it as you wish. Right. As Laureen also mentioned earlier, we've compiled all the knowledge module assignments as well as the marking guides for facilitators. Right, just an example of what the marking guide looks like. They are all in MS Word version, so you're able to edit and adjust as you feel fit. Right, some templates for the POE that Laureen also mentioned earlier. Some screenshots also in MS Word version. You could use this to compile the portfolio of evidence for all your students. Right, some screenshots for the facilitator assessor guide. We've got a nice table of contents, a moderation plan, assessment plans, assessment preparations, assessment reviews, etc. Right, you've got a nice timetable, and then also that forms part of your facilitator guide, an integration between the knowledge, practical, and workplace module. That concludes the microsites. So I think we can move on to any comments or questions now. I think I'll unmute everybody's microphones. Give me 1 second. Okay. Are we unmuted, Gabby?
I think they must also respond.
I think you can attempt unmuting your mics as well. Laureen, are you with us? And
Yes,
Louis,
I'm
if you
with
want to
you.
comment.
Hello.
How are you? Thank you so much. I'll leave the floor to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Any questions that you would like me to answer?
Good morning, colleague. Good day.
Good morning.
Yes, unfortunately, I did not manage to scan because I end up using my cell phone. I was struggling with the laptop, so I don't know if I will be able to get that later.
With the scanning, what I found is quite easy. With the scanning, the cell phone is quite easy to scan with. But if
Yes.
you go onto WhatsApp web on your
Okay.
on your actual laptop, then you can actually
Okay.
just WhatsApp yourself the link of
Okay.
the actual microsites, and it's very easy to get it via that than to try and get
Okay.
it into the actual search bar.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. I will try to get some people who are good in that to help me.
I think we can also, if you don't mind, dropping your email address maybe in the chats, and we can actually then drop you the link as well for
Okay.
accessing the microsite. Awesome.
Okay. I will do that.
Fantastic.
All right.
Okay, any
Thank
other
you.
questions or comments? Thank you. Oh, thanks. I
Are we
see the
done
email
now?
address. I
It
see
seems
the
to
email
me,
addresses coming. Yeah,
yeah, I think that would be awesome. Then we can send that all to them. And then
absolutely.
like any questions they can ask me as well, via email address. I can give my email address as well, if that will
Fantastic.
help
You can,
anyone.
yeah,
And
you
I'm
can drop it
more
through the chat.
I'm more than willing to help you to just show you how to put your files together to make it easy for yourself and for your lecturer and for your learners, and make it interesting and understandable.
All right, ma'am. I think that will be more appreciable because we want to do things good.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just so much easier. The book, it's so much easier, it's so much more simplified. And then when you work together with your files, your facilitator file, and you work with your practical file, as well as your workbook when they go into the salons, it's just all aligned so nicely that it would be so much easier for you.
Okay, ma'am.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Anybody else with a question?
Okay, make sure to include your email addresses. Yeah, we can give it a few more seconds. I'll hang around to compile all the email addresses. My email is on the screen as well. If you have any questions or additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Laureen or Louis, would you like to include your email in the chat as well? So, fantastic.
Sinet, can you please give them my email address? I've got a problem on this site. Or
Okay.
Ma'am Pile, if you are there, can you please give them my email address?
Hi, Sarah. Lorraine and Louis, any final words? I think we can wrap it up. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and I hope that this program will help you with this hairdressing curriculum.
Yeah, and thank you to all of you guys. And we are here for any questions or any help along the line. So please feel free to contact us, and we'll do what we can to just elevate this hairdressing program as much as we can, you know.
And we're even willing to come to your college or your academy to help you if you need us to do it. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Thanks.
Thanks, same to you.
Same.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.